Oh my god, my mic's been off the whole time? Hi! I've been literally talking to myself the whole fucking time. And nobody tells me. I'm like, hi. Oh my god. I'll just talk to myself then. Why not? Holy shit. That's fucking funny. I'm literally sitting there fucking talking to myself. Thanks, guys. Thanks for like watching my mouth move for 20 minutes and not telling me that wasn't fucking. Oh god. Oh fuck. That's it. Oh my god. I'm literally having a conversation with myself for fucking 20 minutes because the mic is muted. Oh, that's good. Yeah, but they didn't even hear you talking. I know. You want to say hi? You come up? Come on. Big yeah. You want to come say hi? Are you done with your cameo? Okay, good boy. You done with the cameo? Okay. Why didn't you tell me to put the mic on, Mike? Huh? Apple? You're supposed to keep me on track of that shit. No treats for you. All right. Alright, since the mic was broken in that one, I'm considering this track bad luck. What's this? Hey, what is that, man? An hour? Yeah, I'll probably still be on. I'll still be on talking shit, I think. Oh, is this, I'm out of tune again. I am out of tune again. I think I'm slapping it when I think I'm rubbing my hand over there. Fucking myself over. Oh yeah, a decent amount of people stop in, but then my mic was broken and I couldn't talk to them. Yeah, but it was my fault. Daddy fucked up. Daddy fucked up. So all the people came in and said hi to me, and I was talking to myself like, "Hi, blah 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 blah, thank you, yeah 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 yeah," and then just like literally, yeah, but that's what happened. That's literally what happened. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So we'll just hang out. Yeah, Apple. We got a little bit of whiskey left today. You gotta drink it sparingly. You gotta do something about your back, bro. You gotta scratch that off you. You gotta fix your back. You have to let me brush you, you fat fucking fluff. I know you don't like that, but you're gonna have to let me brush you. And you're gonna yell at me. You're gonna, "Ow!" You let me brush Alpha? He's like, nope. I'm gonna do it anyway. Whether you like it or not, you're getting fucking combed. You're getting the combing. Let's find something to do here. What were we? What were we doing? No. What were we just playing? Oh, we're doing this thing. I was out of tune. guys trying to do like fucking counterpoint on top of shit because we're bored. We almost had that counterpoint there. I almost pulled the counterpoint thing off. It's not good. And that middle part was like, let's just see if I can pull it off. Something like that. There's a little fucking, a little Bach-y counterpoint going on. No one's impressed by fucking trying to fucking break your brain playing two melodies at once. Don't care. They want to see the woo blah 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 blah. That's what people want to see. That's what people want to see. Blah, 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 blah. Is anybody even here? I'm just talking to myself. I can be an asshole. That's okay. I think the temperature is fucking with the humidity because it's like, well, my room is playing that hard. It's like ever so slightly. No, I'm not crazy. It's fucking out too. Okay. Okay, let's try it again. This is D minor, right? Okay. It's out! What the fuck? down here. Why do you wait? This is the first time this guitar's ever not staying in tune. fade out jam track, you dumb fuck. So what should I do? Use a volume pedal? What do you want me to do? just keep going out of tune today. Don't tell me this isn't going out of tune. I feel it. I can feel it. It's like, now it's flat. I must be hitting it with my hand. I must be like rubbing it because it's never gone out of tune this much before. I must be rusting my fucking hand on the thingy. Because this guitar's never gone out of tune this much. I'm just talking to myself. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking to. That sounds a little better. Okay, I'll take a minute break and give myself a rest. See if people start showing up. Yeah? I know they don't like my politics, but I mean, at what point are people gonna say, hey, YouTube's fucking cheating? Huh? At what point are we gonna say that YouTube is broken and cheating? That's all I wanna know. Are we all gonna come together and say, hey, they've been fucking this guy for 15 years? That's part of the reason why I keep coming on, is to fucking, continue the battle against the man. So that one day, it'll all come together in this one big ball of flatulence. I mean, evidence. Same thing, right? And all the people said, you're crazy, you're paranoid, schizophrenic, you think that everybody's got to get you. You think that there's a conspiracy to cancel people and they're ruining your business and your life and they don't want people to hear you because you talk too much truth and political stuff. They don't do that. No, they don't do that. But I'll tell you, the last 10 years really shows you who your real peoples are, And that way when I break out of this hellhole, I don't owe anybody shit. I don't owe anybody a goddamn thing. That's what I'm gonna tell them all. Remember what you said? You remember? You fucking scumbags. Oh. Okay, we'll get back to shredding in a second. I'm just gonna stretch my legs. It's gonna be a long night, I feel it. It's gonna be a long night. Or I'm just gonna say fuck it and go to sleep early. Because I'm running out of whiskey. Okay. What do we have queued up here? I don't even know the fuck what am I looking at here? Go to the end. Okay. What is this shit we were just doing? Oh, I can be an elitist prog asshole. The internet loves this shit. Internet loves this. jazzy shit I learned in school. Oh god, it's just so cheesy. I hate this shit. Oh god. No. Give me something scary. You're getting bored. It's fucking boring. fucking cheesy fucking 80s riff. Ding! What the fuck is this? Ew. It's like, what is it, this jazz shit? I don't want to play this shit. I escaped the jazz school 25 years ago. I'm never going back. What's up, Dan? I'm watching the world burn! That's what's up. I'm watching the world burn. Nobody believed me! Now they're stuck watching it with me. How you doing? Have I seen it? Are you kidding me? I was a general during the Great Meme War. I wasn't just a soldier, a little peasant foot soldier. You know? I fucking God, I hit the mic again. Yes, my mic cut out. I was talking to myself again, second time tonight. Oh God, I was saying, I was a general during the Great Meme War. You know, many casualties, and many people have fallen. People don't even know what Kekistan is. Yeah, but like that whole thing with the Seal of Solomon and the fucking demon sigils and electrical diagrams, I've known that since 2000, 2001. Like, but I gotta know, I've been in this fucking game of. It's pretty true. It's pretty true. The meme is very true. I didn't realize I made it into a meme. You know, but I mean, I don't know what meme you're referring to, but I even preached about that in the War Angel streams. I must have touched on that at least once. You know, because you have like the internets, the Ethernet. You have a demon is only a daemon tool. That's why I tell people about like spirituality and philosophy. I say you got to look at it as a metaphor for like some kind of science, and like even if you don't believe it literally, you can look at it as a metaphor for psychology. You know, and demons are just daemons, or just little programs that running in the background of people's brains. So you have all the fucking crazy liberals that are infected with the communist virus. It's a mind virus. The whole fucking chat for that is literally a meme chat for you to just post memes. You know, I built it for them to come, but, you know, all these people are fucking weirdo, fucking stalker liberals. Most of the Tai Chi community are just like, you know, weirdo stalker liberals. Let's take a look at the meme. I mean, it's pretty true, but if you knew the actual truth, you'd probably shit your pants. If you knew how much if you knew how much deeper it actually went, you'd be worried. If people knew what I knew, like I always tell people, like I only tell you guys what I have to tell you to clear my karma. But if you knew what I knew, you'd be like, oh fuck. Like people think I'm fucking crazy now. Like wait if they knew what I actually know. I'm not even allowed to say half the shit I know on the internet. I'll be fucking carted off. Oh yeah, the Chinese guy. Yeah, some of the things he says is you know, is on point, and some of the things he says just like you know. He's like 60%. You know, he says some good stuff, and then some of the stuff is like eh. Like that one video, there's a couple of little fragments. There's other videos he did that were actually better. The one you posted, it was like eh. You know, there's some of it's right, and some of it's just like. Yeah, but, you know, but some of it's actually on point. But like some of it just his opinions, and then other things are actual factual. And he's like, you know, I mean, he's just he's a nerd, you know. He doesn't have he doesn't have any like secret ninja skills. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the one I'm saying, but I've watched other videos since then, and there's some of them where he's on point, like with some certain types of history. But then there's other parts where he starts to like infer and like he's trying to make logical conclusions, and you know I just happen to know that some of them are just wrong because I just know. But a lot of what he says is correct. You know, the only issue is that sometimes he says a couple of things like he's certain, but it's not right. But a lot of the stuff he's on point with. You know, like I think he was the one that was talking about how the whole thing in Gaza is a human sacrifice. It's mass human sacrifice on a global scale. I always talk about this. Like, that's why like any war, all these armies have to have sigils on them, and they fight on these like coordinates, these ley lines, you know, these parallels. You know, why they have to be on this parallel, and they murder because it's parallel dimension to feed the fucking even demons. At least that's what they think. Yeah, well, I've been saying that for years. You know. But if I told you guys the actual truth, first of all, you know, now it's like illegal. I can't even tell you what I know, but it's bad. And the thing is, like, you talk about spiritual stuff that people have no connection to, like, even studying it. Yeah, Appa, I know. Appa, I'm in the middle of having a chat here. You know, no one wants to hear your opinion about Gaza. But people don't. The thing is this: it doesn't matter if you believe in gods and demons and all this shit. There's people in large groups who do. Okay, like, and the thing is that the two sides that don't look connected are actually connected. Like, there's a connection between, you know, Satanism and, like, you know, certain sects of Judaism. You know what I mean? There's a connection to, like, satanic cults and the communist left. You know what I mean? And there's, like, you know, order of 9 things I'm not going to mention here. There's, like, a whole bunch of things that are coming out now about, like, the satanic cults. You know? Yeah, Appa does have a couple of good points, you know? Do you have anything else you want to add about the evil Satanist child murderers? What do you think, Appa? Should we tell them about the fucking... how they drink baby's blood? Do you want to tell them? Should I tell them, Appa? Okay, I'll tell them about the baby blood. So, like, the whole drinking blood thing, that's a real thing. And in the early 2000s, you know, I was, like, big in the metal scene. Like, you know, there was a crossover. It wasn't divided yet. The division didn't come until Obama's time, you know? Like, Obama was, like, in the second term already. And in the New York metal scene, the goth scene, and the industrial scene, the fetish scene, the BDSM scene, they were all one big, like, mishmash, where everyone worked together in a way in the clubs. So there was this club, Mother. There was, like, you know, like, people used to go there after this place called Downtime. I remember going there one night for an after party. It was closed already. For some reason, it was like, actually, we got in for this, like, and there was, you know, people literally with vials of blood, drinking blood, you know, and that was like the first time I ever seen that, you know, and that was like 99, 2000 or some shit. Oh, yeah. No, that's real. That's bro. There was one, and we went up to this famous BDSM chateau up in fucking upstate New York, right? And they had a live. They had a, what do you call it when you roast a pig? So they had one for humans, where they would literally tie a human up and put them on a fucking thing and roast them. Okay? Oh no, I went to all the vampire parties. I didn't just walk into one. But it was more than that, because then there was other things I'm not gonna mention on the internet. There's like crazy. I've seen like I was one step away from like that crazy level. You know what I mean? I was like I was always floating in different scenes. I always had 5 different names 'cause I was a ninja. You know what I mean? So I would infiltrate different places. So in one scene, they knew me as one person, another scene knew me as another person, another scene knew me as another person. I would just float around and disappear when I needed to, and I would get, close to these places to see how it worked and operated, because I didn't want to get involved unless I knew what was going on. And holy fuck, man. I got invited to some shit, A rotisserie, yeah, but it's not called a rotisserie. Because a rotisserie goes this way, right? No, there's a rotisserie, yeah, but it's not like that. It's the one where you have a hand crank and a fire pit underneath. Is that what it's called? And they literally would tie people up and fucking roast them. I'm not fucking joking, bro. Jesus. I used to host these crazy parties, right? And there was I was in when it came to the fetish, I got up to the top where I was running major parties in New York. I was on the top of the top thing where there was nobody above us. There was nobody doing the thing in New York. You know what I mean? And there was factions, and this is in the newspaper, okay? I told these motherfuckers, and there was me and these other promoters. I split off from them, and it was this little fucking war of the promoters, because they were, the cancel culture started in the fetish scene with this Jewish teenager thing. That was where the cancel culture started, and they were I can tell you exactly when everything happened and when it went down. It started 2012 is when the new wave, where it went from transsexuals to transgenders. And there was a divide where this younger generation was fuck the older generation. We don't want nothing to do with you. We're going to change everything. We're going to make it ours. And they tried to it was basically, they didn't respect the old generation. It was they were kicking them out. And until then, all these scenes, it was the torch was passed over. But 2012, the under 35 group, there was the first wave of these weirdos. And I watched the whole thing happen on this site called FetLife, okay? And this records everything I'm telling you. But there was this one group of and then they would come to party, and I always said my parties, you're not gonna do any of this bloodletting shit. There's no fucking none of that stuff. There was a doctor who would cut girls and sew them up at the parties. And I told this other bondage guy, he came to another private party at my loft on Park Avenue. He's I'm like, dude, this other group doesn't like you, and what's gonna happen is they're gonna fucking blow you guys up. If you do a fucking party, the next fucking party you do, I'm telling you, they're gonna put you in the fucking newspaper, gonna ruin your fucking life. And he's oh, you're just talking, they loved me, they don't ever do that to me. I'm oh yeah, watch. And 2 fucking weeks later, they're all over the fucking newspaper in New York. The fucking doctors fucking bloodletting and sewing the girls up. A spit. I think that's it. I think it's a spit. Yeah. But I mean, I've seen some shit, man. Because you gotta think, if there's people in these scenes, right, who you're allowed to see them hanging each other from hooks and cutting each other. And that's what they do at the public parties. What do you think they're doing if that's what they let on the outside, what do you think happens at like the 2 level behind secret parties? You know? Like, what do you think's happening? And it's just use your fucking brain. You know what I mean? And before, like, you know, during the wild, wild west days of the internet, before Obama and the net neutrality and all this fucking bullshit where they started, like, communizing the fucking internet, you can see anything on the internet. There was no dark web, there was just the web, and you had, like, you know, so there was no, you can see anything, okay? And you'd see people eating babies and all kind of fucking crazy shit on the internet in the early days. Up until like 2008, the internet was a different place, man. It was the wild, wild west. You know? But there's... Long story short is that things are much more coordinated than people think there are. You know, there's these religious groups are actually, like, within these religious groups, Jews, Muslims, and Christians, there's satanic organizations in these groups that people don't realize are in these groups. The whole liberal left, there's all, like satanic, I don't even say satanic, because, like, when I think of Satanism, I think of, like, you know, philosophical Satanism, like the metalheads who are just like, oh, I just don't like the Christians suppressing us, and I just want to, like, you know, study things and be cool. No, I'm talking about, like, demonic fucking shit. Like real demonology type of shit. That's what's running the left and the hierarchies of like the reigning religions. And people aren't ready for that. And there's a big connection between like, you know, certain sects of like Judaism and the liberals and the communists and all that stuff. And then like people talk about, you know, what happened to the Bolsheviks? What happened to fucking Mao? What happened to all this shit comes from the same satanic source, you know? And that's what we're looking at. It's a fucking holy war. We're all fucked. Because people are stupid. Oh, dude. Dude. I mean, the whole fucking Captain White Boy Kirk thing that got shot in the turkey gizzard. I mean, I can tell you exactly how that shit went down. I can connect all the dots, but it'll sound fucking crazy. It'll sound crazy if I told you exactly how many, like, I can see it, you know? Which is, you know, but, you know, maybe it's my psychic abilities and my autism, but the pattern recognition is so obvious to me of where it comes from. You gotta question everything. Don't believe anything. You know, I always say that. So, end of the world, there were demonic conspiracies, always Arabic religions and never Asian religions like Buddhism. Aha! I'll tell you why. The God in the Old Testament is the devil. And that's the thing about, like, Jesus, if you look at the Gnostics, is a Pure Land Buddhist. Okay, this is the best way I can describe it. Okay, so you can consider like Jesus as an incarnate of one of the Buddhas, right? This is ways that you can figure out all the connections, right? And when there used to be like multiple gods, it wasn't like one God. The Bible, people read it wrong because they translated it wrong on purpose. The gods were plural, and then they think Satan is Lucifer. And like they don't even know how to read their own fucking text. Lucifer and Jesus are the same person. It's the same in the Bible. It's the same person, but they're too stupid. So they think Satan is Lucifer. There's no connection there at all. Satan is an adversary that means a bunch of fucking group, plural, Hasatan, right? And so here's the crazy part. In the Bibles, the demons refer to themselves as they, them, because Satan is a multiple. It's not one being. So all these people on the left that are demonically possessed say they, them, because the demons say they, them. It sounds crazy, but there's the connection, you know? And the reason why they always talk about the Abrahamic religions because the world's run by those demons, right? In Buddhism, we call it Mara, right? And there's like Buddhist demons. And there is a connection, right, to the Dharma ending age. But people don't, the Buddhism that's taught now is not real Buddhism. it's because the controllers only allow certain amounts of the religion to get out. When I studied with my master, right, and the real Buddhist text, he had, in the prayer room, there's this, we have the altar, right? And then there's just shelves. I mean, lines of fucking shelves, bro. And there's books that are like this thick. He had 218 volumes, all in Chinese, and the fucking characters are like this fucking big. And it's all the teachings of the Buddha, right? The real shit that's passed on. And he didn't have them all. You know? Lucifer and Jesus are the same guy. Literally the same guy. Literally the same guy. And when you understand how to read the text, it makes perfect sense, okay? Literally the same guy. Like, you know, he fell from heaven to shake the nations. Did Jesus not descend from heaven and shake the nations? You know, it's like when you pay attention, you know, what's the light, the knowledge? Isn't Jesus the fucking Gnostic fucking light bringer? Right? Isn't he the one that like goes against the gods? Who's the gods? The Elohim, right? The false fucking matrix gods. Fucking Yahweh, the destroyer god, the storm god. I mean, all you have to know is the fruit of the tree. These Abrahamic religions, all they do is cause death. Now, the problem is when you mix the religion with the teachings of a prophet, such as like, you know, Jesus, right? Whether you believe him as God or a prophet's irrelevant. You have to take that the same way you take, you know, Lhasa fucking or Buddhas or anything, and you take that out. Once you put it in the re-legion, what's a legion in the fucking Bible? Legions of the demons. So it's like re plus legion is do the fucking demon fucking army again. So as soon as you get caught up in the religion, you're redoing the legion, which is the fucking devil. This is a lot. No, it's not true. That's totally not true. First of all, there's not one Buddha. That's another thing, right? Is someone knocking on my door? So this is a perfect example of what I was talking about, right? According to online sources that control everything, you think that there's only one Buddha and one type of Buddhism, and that's not how it works, right? Like, for instance, I was, you know, ordained in the Pure Land and Chan Buddhism. It's not the same. Like, you know, the Mahayana guys, and there's different sects of Buddhism that believe different things. And there's infinite amount of Buddhas in the Buddhist realms, okay? In the outer spaces of spirituality. So what you think Buddhism is not Buddhism. And like most people have no idea that there's Buddhist like hells and Buddhist demons. And like there's a whole other side to Buddhism that is never spoken about. You know, and it's done on purpose. So no, that's not true. Right, it's the Buddha, right? And that's the one that they refer to. That's not the only Buddha. Right? So Pure Land doesn't have anything to do with that guy. Pure Land is about Amitabha. Or like in the Kung Fu movie, we say Ami Tofu, right? So that's a completely different thing. Not once in my Buddhist training was that ever mentioned. I only learned about that stuff from like books and stuff before the internet. And then like, you know, seeing the movies online, they push that Buddha. But in my training, I didn't learn anything about that at all. It was never mentioned once to me, ever. The fat Buddha is not a Buddha at all. The fat Buddha is a Chinese cultural thing. He was like a fat monk. And all the fat kids, the reason why he's portrayed fat with all the fat kids, because in old China, the people were starving. So if you were fat, you were prosperous. So for luck, same as they have the good luck cat that waves at you at the Chinese restaurant, it's not a Buddha at all. It's just a fat guy that like is jolly, that's supposed to bring good luck. Because if you're fat and your kids are fat, when you live in a rice field, that means you had a good harvest and everyone's happy. No. Not at all. My first introduction to Buddhism when I was like 13 years old was because of Musashi, which led me to Zen Buddhism because I wanted to fucking be a samurai murderer. You know, I wanted to train to fucking, you know, that was like my whole thing. So I got into Zen Buddhism, and there was anything about Buddha. And it said, in fact, it was the first thing I learned was if you see the Buddha, kill him. And then there's another story I learned from my master was that, you know, this monk was training with the master, and he says, you know, I keep having dreams of this big spider attacking me. And what do I do? So the master says, okay, what I want you to do is take this calligraphy brush and go to bed, and when you see the spider, draw an X on him. All right, so okay, fine. So he wakes up, you know, he goes to sleep, he sees the spider, he draws the X in the dream, and he wakes up and he goes to the master, I did it, master. Now what? He goes, look at your chest. And he had the X on himself. So they say if you see the Buddha, in Zen Buddhism, it was like, if you see the Buddha, kill him. So that was my first training in Buddhism, was Zen. Like, you know, like hardcore, like I wanted to like live like the samurai, you know? So like, you know, I learned about the Siddhartha Buddhism much later, like in my later teens, and then when I was like 20, I started training seriously. I went with my master, I think it was 21. And I lived with him for 2 years doing medical Qigong and Pure Land Buddhism. So I didn't learn anything about that shit. The only reason Buddhism survived was because of the samurai who used Zen Buddhism to train their mind to prepare to fucking die. That's the goal of Buddhism, is to prepare to die. Now, you're not supposed to kill. The idea is to do the least amount of damage as possible. Like, you know, to protect sentient life, right? That's the thing. Like, you know, like for instance, we're not even supposed to eat root vegetables. We're supposed to only eat things that we don't kill. So the reason for that is to avoid karma. So we're not supposed to, but, you know, there's a point for self-defense when it's like someone's attacking you or something's gonna fucking eat you. Like, you can either lay down and die, or you're gonna fucking take the sword out. You know? So there's a lot of bullshit that's taught that we're supposed to just lay down and just get eaten. And that's not what it says. If you don't preserve your own life, how can you attain enlightenment? It doesn't make any sense. These are false teachings to be like this like super passive thing. Appa, you want to help? Okay, yeah, tell him. Say, Daddy's right. Well, it depends on the purpose. Like, Zen, the way it's taught, prepares you for death in the sense of like, you know, the mindfulness to be able to complete an action and live a life. Like, you know, Pure Land Buddhism is an escape route. The whole point of Pure Land teaching is how to escape. And it's very similar to how Jesus taught. If you have enough faith in one of the deities, one of the ancestors, and you can really focus on them, when you die, they'll snatch your soul out of this fucking realm so you don't have to come back here. That's the whole point of most Buddhism in that case, is like, how do I get the fuck out of here? Right? The samsara, the fucking cycle of rebirth. How do I get out of this place? Right? So how do I burn off my karma and get the fuck out? That's it. You know? Whereas Zen Buddhism, a lot of it's not even about that. It's just about like, almost like a Taoist mentality. I mean, I'll tell you, if I was, like Master said, if I'm going to gamble with death, I gamble with Pure Land Buddhism. If you're gambling with death. Like, if you want to escape this place. If you want to train to be a fucking samurai warrior, you go with, like, Zen Buddhism, hardcore, old school stuff. Because the idea is just to break your mind and get rid of any ego so you can just, like, be in that flow state. But the Pure Land Buddhism is a spiritual practice more so, whereas, like, you know, the Zen Buddhism can become one incidentally from my experience. But without having an external place to point your consciousness, you're not going to get out properly. You know, and then you go into like the other forms of Buddhism. They have they explain the Bardo system and how you know what happens to your soul and your awareness and all the things that can happen to you. So what Buddhism are we talking about? What the hell's your goal? You know what I mean? What's the goal? So, you know, I just wound up in the Pure Land in Chan schools. as when I really went into it. And then I was told to maintain my station in life and prepare the world for the Dharma ending age. So now I'm fucking here. Look, I would tell you this, like, the Pure Land system is like a cheat sheet. If you get the raw material, there's 3 chants you do: clean up your, eat well, don't be a jerk off, and really focus on, and you'll see some shit. Like, but I'm telling you, man, like, people don't believe this stuff, but when you really do the thing, you start seeing some things. And it's not like, it's something that everybody who gets to a certain place, they all see the same thing. That's all I can tell you. It's not like you're schizophrenic and you're seeing like fucking things in the walls. No. You start chanting and you start seeing fucking glowing shit. Like, everyone sees the same thing. But you have to be ready for that and really want it. I unfortunately have a shitty job to do, so I'm stuck here with you fucking assholes, maintaining my station in life. No, you can't. You can't. And I'll tell you, if you really do, like, you gotta be prepared if you go into the spiritual side of things, because things get fucking weird. You have to be ready. But I'll tell you, like, if you're talking about not returning to the Matrix and I had to gamble, I go with Pure Land. Because all the other religions are too corrupted. Like, the Abrahamic religions are evil. Right? Jesus came to destroy that and start a new one and say, no, you guys worship Satan, and I'm going to, like, fix the law, and you're going to live my way. And they killed him. And then to this day, like, it's a problem. The whole point, look, it's not, when you're looking from a Western position, when they talk about attachment is so that you can escape the Matrix. That's all. The whole point of real Buddhism is to not have to come back here. So as long as you don't attach yourself, like you have like the left and right hand, fire and water, right? You don't have to do it the way they tell you. Right? The whole goal is if you understand the system, as long as you don't have an attachment and karma where you're holding on to things, like, if, for instance, if you're not a monk, you can have a wife, right? The monks have a specific purpose. They have to do a very specific thing. That's nonsense, because, it's like, yes, you can have some form of attachments. You have to eat, right? But it's not like laws where, if you have an attachment, you're going to hell. It's how you look at attachments, and, like, for instance, like, there's people who stalk me for, like, literally 15 years. They even posted pictures like, I've been stalking you for 10 years now. And, like, I'll, like, get into a little debate and I'll argue with them for, like, 5 seconds. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's it. I don't care. And they'll be like, yeah, for 10 years. Like, that's what they mean, so that you don't have an attachment, especially mental attachments to things that are going to hurt you. But even having an attachment to Buddhist practice and, like, the ego involved in Buddhist practice is an attachment. The Tai Chi world, all these people that think it has to be a certain way, and look how they came after me for so many years, because I won't wear the silk pajamas and I don't do it their way. They're so attached to their ego construct of what the Tai Chi has to be, that me doing my shit on my own, not bothering anybody, they come at me at the hundreds to try to destroy me. That's the kind of attachment they're talking about. Something like that. Because the thing is this, early on I deprogrammed myself where I am not my ego construct. Like, like, my name isn't my name. It's hard to express that to people on the level that they don't understand. Which is why, like, for instance, like, they can't comprehend that I'm all these different things and done all these things in my life. Because in their head, they have to put things in these boxes and these labels and attach a label to it and put it in the square. And I don't fit in their little fucking box. You know? Because when you rip your observer self out of the ego mind, I am this guy, and I am a guitar player, and I am a Tai Chi guy, and I do Yang style, or I do Chen style, and I play fucking whatever. You know? These it's like you're putting yourself in a box, and then you become the box. You think you're the fucking box. That's what they're talking about, attachment, ego attachment. And because people don't even understand what it means, they'll look at me and they'll imply what they think reality is and assume I have their attachments, and then like it gets into a whole fuckery because they're fighting a mirror themselves. I mean, the way I was able to play stupid for so many years is I'm just mirroring them. That's what they don't get. The reason why they thought I was stupid was because I was mirroring them. It's so easy. You know, for me to skip under the radar, I just reflect back what they want to see, and it's like they don't even see me, and I just skate right by them. Because they're so fucking dumb. And they're so attached to like this idea of a thing that they know aren't even a thing. It's like, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Well, nothing is something, but it's like, it's not, we're nothing, we're no thing, because we're not a thing. We're no thing, but we are what we are, which is what it is. We are what we are, which is what it is. Okay? And you have to understand what that means, because it's like the absence is the potential for everything, right? It's like, how do I explain that to you? It's such a mind fuck to try to get that across to a person, but like, our consciousness just is. It's an observer. It just watches all the things. It has infinite potential, and then it hits these walls of construct. What does the matrix allow? What is our body potential? What is the thing? And we have all these limitations that are actual limitations from interacting with the matrix. But then we put in fake limitations that aren't there. We put in thought limitations that are not there. Like, there's a limitation to how high my body can jump, okay? There's a limitation to, like, what frequencies my body can hear. You know? There's a limitation to how much fucking pussy I can eat in one day, right? But those are actual external, okay, this is a universal truth, right? Like, the sun comes up in this fucking side of the fucking world and goes down that side of the world. Fine. But then they'll put these mental constructs that they make, these illusionary limitations. So, like, they live their lives as a projection. They're not actually people. Most people, 99% of the people are NPCs, and they don't even know it. Even the half-awake ones are still NPCs because I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a this, I am, and it's like this self-hypnosis fucking evil shit that you're convincing yourself and programming your ego mind to think that you have these limitations, that I am this thing. I can be whatever the fuck I want to be. It's like, who the hell you can tell me? As far as my 2 hands and 2 feet, you know, and my fucking 2 nuts can get me, in the limitations of the physical matrix, I can be all the things. Why is it that I have to be only one thing and I have to be this thing? That's where they got it from. And that's the thing, like, a lot of the Kung Fu shit movies were real. That's what people understand. A lot of the shit was real. A lot of it. You know, some of it's exaggerated, but there's some shit. but that's the idea. It's like, if you can't understand that, you know, your name isn't, you know, you're not Dan, right? Dan, for instance, when you are Dan with your mom and dad, that's Dan in a box parameter of what is expected of you, mom and dad. When you go to, like, school, you're Dan in school. When you go to work, you're Dan at work. When you go to Dan with your girlfriend, boyfriend, or they, them, who the fuck you're fucking, you're Dan with that person, right? When you're Dan with the dog, there's a parameter set. You're Dan with the dog. None of those things are you. And this is like, you'll see this when like you're dating a girl, right? And you know you're dating a girl and people are like, oh, is she nice? Oh, you know, is she pretty? When you're a guy and the girl says, oh, I got this new boyfriend. Oh yeah, what does he do? And they immediately say, I'm a doctor, I'm a mechanic, I flip burgers, I'm a liberal who works at Starbucks. And then you become the character in the video game. You don't realize that you're playing a fucking character in the game. This is why so many of these Tai Chi philosophical people, they think they know, they have no idea. They have no idea. They don't really know spirituality. They just talk about it. And they repeat something they heard. They don't have any experiential first-person understanding. They think they know. They think they know what the Buddha's going to look like or the fucking, you know, when they meet them. That's why they can't accept me. You know, there's like, I don't come in a package that they want because, again, they think that, oh, I have to wear silk pajamas and go to this school and do this thing to have the knowledge. And that's why they didn't get any of it in their fucking boomer years. They talk and talk and talk, but not one of them has the real shit. They just talk about it. Am I wrong? Everyone talks about it. And then when they see somebody actually has it, they try to kill him. I came 25 years on the fucking internet from Yahoo chats trying to like, you know, spread the fucking, you know, all the stuff I learned when I was still humble and still like, oh, Buddha bless you, you know, and following the nerdy geek. Oh, yeah, you're older than me. I'll respect you, even though I'm fucking twice your rank and you should be respecting me. I'm going to be real nice to you guys. And then, you know, they don't know shit. None of them know anything. Yeah. I mean, that's all it is. It's all fake. Like, you know, it's a really simple concept to understand. These shadow contracts where you think you're this name, like you're a fucking item, like you're a cup. Like, it's bullshit. And that's why in all this mystery schools, Buddhism, or even, you always get a different name. You have to give up your name and change your name. Why? Because it's the first level of breaking your ego consciousness to this idea of what you used to be. So that's the whole game. You know, so do with it as you will. That's the whole game. All right. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna grab a snack to play with. Somebody gotta preach the knowledge to you childrens. But if you really understand what I was saying, you're gonna see it everywhere. That most of these people, they're not aware. And the scary part is this ability to be self-hypnotized is why we have such a violent alt-left and how communism and Marxism and all the fucking evil that goes behind this and the satanic elements that go behind it infect people. It's because of the I am principle. Why is it that the right and the Republicans, you can predict what they're going to do? Right? Oh, we have to be nice and we're not going to, like, you know, we'll accept them, blah, blah, blah. And the left is like, let's kill them babies and kill them all. You can predict it because they've all associated with an external construct. I am this alt-left person. I am this Republican person. I am this Christian. I am this whatever. I can tell you what they're going to do before they do it. I don't have to be psychic. You just fucking see it because the script tells you. Everyone's a fucking an actor on a fucking stage. Trying to find their place in the world before they fucking die in a meaningless death. and then come back and do it again. That's what it is. And that's why, for the last fucking 15, 20 years, they've been fucking with me. I had to hide. I had the secret scrolls. All right. What time is it? I don't think anybody else is popping up because YouTube doesn't let people see my channel, so. Let's see. Yeah. 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 No doubt. I don't know if I'll be out in an hour because my hands hurt. I'm tired of this shit. But, you know, preach the knowledge to the peoples, man. Good luck. If I'm on, I'll check you. I'm getting hungry. Be safe and good luck in Canada. It's gonna be a fucking shit show. Let's see what else. What am I gonna do here? I got my popcorn ready. Nope, I'm not feeling that. You happy, Alpha? You're a good boy? Yeah? You're a good boy? Now tune again. There's nobody here, so it doesn't really matter. Try it again. Alright, now I'm in tune. Now we're back in tune. That's good. Well, since nobody's here, I might as well stretch my fucking legs. Oh, I'm not gonna get up. I'm gonna stretch my legs. Okay, good. Dun, 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 dun. Albert, you just scared the absolute shit out of me. Don't do that. You fucking weirdo. Give me a heart attack. awesome. Oh, oh God. What the fuck is this? What is this? Some porn music? $100,000 in jazz school just so I can play this fucking shit. This fucking crap. I can fucking make all the jazzy people in fucking ShitTube feel happy. Fucking garbage. I don't even know what I'm playing yet. What's this? Lonely Blues? Come on, man, what is this shit? Who's throwing at me? Where am I? Got me this black as fuck. Oh my god, what is this cheesy shit, YouTube? Come on. No. Alright, rock ballad. We can do a rock ballad. Oh god, this is depressing. I chewed a hole in my finger for nothing. Ooh, fancy guitar pedal. Ooh, chorus. So fancy. I'm hurting myself for nothing. I don't like any of these tracks. No one's hanging out. YouTube's suppressing me. The algorithm is suppressing me, man. Yeah, but fuck this, right? We're done? Yeah, I think we're done. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see your fluffy face. No, they want to see your fluffy face. I'm only kidding. I didn't mean that. Everybody loves you. This is cheesy. I don't want to play this anymore. I think I'm done. I hung out for a while. I got practice enough that my fingertips are calloused. I got my practice in. I'm gonna go eat a bean burrito and shut the fuck up. Unless anybody has anything to say to me, I'm heading out. I think the stream is like super delayed too, which is weird because I have it on low latency. Which makes no sense. Okay. Well, I guess I'm out of here. I love you guys. It's been fun. I'm gonna go eat a burrito or something. Since Apple, should we eat burritos? Or should I keep playing? What do you think? Nah. Nah, let's go eat some burritos. Alright, eat burritos. Okay, we eat burritos. Let's go. Alright guys, I'm out of here. Appa says we gotta go.